Today I fucked up by making my Muslim grandmother face the North Pole for her prayers instead of Mecca. While this didn't happen today was the date I realized that I had TIFU. And #X200B. So my grandmother is a very sweet lady who converted to Islam in her 50s about 20 years ago. She is very sweet and one of the only Muslims that I know. She lives in another state in the countryside while most of my immediate family are in a whole different state. This means that we do not visit her often, but send her cards and keep in touch with her digitally. And #X200B. Well, I am a geology major, and had decided to visit my grandmother for my graduation trip. Well, during my trip, we visited a land she had recently bought in the middle of nowhere but with high acreage. It's a good property overall and I'm excited for her overall. However, in the middle of the tour she says, "Up which direction goes to Saudi?" I say, "Saudi? And #X200B. She says, "Yes, Saudi Arabia, the country, and #X200B. Well, I am a geology major, but not that well versed in geography. So I just point to the north and say that way. She tells me whether I am confident, and wanting to impress her I say 100% certain. I had no idea why a white woman would be looking for a country in Middle East, so I just figured she was just quizzing me on geography. And #X200B. Well, here is the TIFU. And #X200B. A few years go on and I don't get a chance to visit her again until this week. I visited her today, and she was excited to show me the house she built on the land. It's a good house, but weirdly positioned. I asked her about it and she told me she wanted the house to face Mecca, so that she would always know where to pray towards. For those of you who don't know, all Muslims face Mecca, city in Saudi, to pray. To make matters worse, she remembered that I had helped her finding Saudi a few years ago on my previous visit, so I didn't have the heart to tell her that her prayers are faced towards the North Pole instead of her desired location. Hopefully she doesn't find out though. Too long did not read. Told my grandmother haphazardly that the direction to Mecca is towards the north, so now she has built a house facing the North Pole instead of Mecca. I.e., she has been praying in the incorrect direction for several years now. Man, if she ever figures out the sun, you're in trouble. As a Muslim, the only problem I see here is what will happen to your relationship when she finds out. For her religiously it won't matter too much since she trusted you, she isn't sinning. Tell her that you were wrong back then so she doesn't find out from someone else. If she can't figure out how to use a compass, this really isn't your problem. Wherever she turns, she'll find Allah. I know this sounds weird. But, in a couple years you'll laugh about this one. And above all, don't tell her. Today I fucked up by accidentally announcing I'm pregnant. As some of you may know, it's Father's Day tomorrow in the UK. So as tradition goes, I got my dad a Father's Day card. No harm done, right? Wrong. I, being the absolute comedian I am, decided to get my dad a card aimed at grandfathers because he's old and I wanted to rub it in his face. So my day starts off normal. I visit my parents, I drop off the card and a present for the old man and I go off on my merry way. What I didn't know was that my dad decided to open the card a day earlier and proceeded to take it completely the wrong way. Not even an hour ago I look at my phone and I have 10 missed calls from my dad and 7 from my mum. Accompanied by text messages from my mum asking if I was pregnant and if it was an accident or not. Confused, I called her and she demands to know the answer. Before I could even get a word she just starts whooping in joy, shouting about how she can't wait to be a grandma and how my dad hasn't stood up or even moved after reading the card. I had no idea what she was talking about until she mentioned the card. That said grandpa on it. They had both assumed that was my way of announcing that I was pregnant with my first child. I immediately just burst into laughter, barely able to get my words out. My mum flabbergasted, trying desperately to find out why I was currently dying down the phone. I managed to get my composure and tell her that I was not in fact pregnant and was taking the absolute mick out of my dad's lack of pigment in his hair. After explaining, my mum was understandably disappointed but also did find the humor in the card and agreed that my dad's hair did look like the top of Mount Everest. My dad finally stood up and called me every swear word he could think of whilst defending his hair, stating it was a fashion statement. He did say thank you for the card though. Too long did not read. Gave my dad a grandfather's card for Father's Day. Parents thought I was preggers. When you eventually get pregnant, if that's what you plan for, do send a card again. Tradition now, every single year. This is fantastic. I am going to believe this is true. Because it's so very good. Now. Do it again next Mother's Day. My dad finally stood up and called me every swear word he could think of whilst defending his hair, stating it was a fashion statement. He did say thank you for the card though. You said UK, but that was not necessary. This is the most British anecdote I have ever heard. The Mount Everest bit was the best bit. Today I fucked up by opening up to who I thought was a friend. I've been a part of this small Discord server for over a year. We shared a lot of stories and stuff about ourselves, DM'd each other all the time. The admin tried talking to me about her new job. I had a hard time trying to be supportive of it since it seems like no matter what I do, I'll never be good enough to do anything right. This is what I told her after she told me she was upset with me for it. I know it's probably not fair for me to say this, I already feel like a shitty person for thinking it, but it's hard watching people have their life together when I feel like I'm drowning. I feel like everyone would be better off if I was dead because I literally have no purpose. I'm 22 and I'm not anything but a failure. My self-esteem is long gone and I honestly just wish I wasn't around. I feel like I've tried so hard to something right, and I'm just failing every time. I can only fail so much before I fall too deep. I don't fit in anywhere, I don't belong anywhere, I've never felt like I've had a purpose. I can't stand the sight of myself. I can't stand to hear my own voice most of the time. I have constant nightmares. I'm sorry that I'm emotionless most of the time. But sometimes I just want to close my eyes and never wake up. She asked if I talked to my parents about how I feel, and that it sounds like I have depression, and to reach out to people. I did reach out to people. I reached out to her. Today I woke up to find me blocked by everyone and kicked off the server. Too long did not read. I talked to someone about my feelings and got blocked. Edit. She would talk to me about the exact same problems and situations and we'd have conversations on how to work through them. She was aware that I have BPD, and cannot afford treatment and medication for it. Edit. I cannot afford therapy as I, nor my parents, have insurance. There are helplines you can call. Probably best to call them 2 or 3 times, when you're feeling low, since you might not connect with the first one. They can probably suggest support groups you can join. If nothing else but to have a place to talk with real people. You might even be able to help someone else, who has different problems than you. You are good at some things. Everyone is. You may have just not discovered what they are yet. You have to get out and try new things. It's the only way you will discover what they are. At your age, you just haven't been exposed to live that much yet. 22 is actually too young to be a failure. Unless you've committed crimes or fathered a bunch of children you can't afford to raise, you still have so many opportunities at that age. Try and remember that. Those people are not your friends. Get off the internet and socialize with people around you. You've got an answer for every suggestion, and not a single answer is, thank you. Practice gratitude, it goes a long way. A few things that helped me when my mental health was a bit rocky. Diet. Switched to a whole foods diet. Cut out fast food and processed food. Exercise. Started walking initially before going on runs. Sleep. No screens 2 hours before bed and tried to get 8 hours a night. Volunteering. Got involved in youth work in my local community. There's no silver bullet for mental health, but having a strong foundation certainly helps. All the best. I hope you start to feel better soon. Today I fucked up by giving someone thumbs up while I passed them in the slow lane. I can be an angry driver, so to work on that I've started giving people thumbs up instead of the middle finger. It helps me have a better attitude and I find myself being frustrated less while driving when I don't let anger be my reaction. Well, today that backfired on me. Although who knows what would have happened if I escalated to a middle finger. I was driving behind 2 cars in the fast lane on my way home from grocery shopping with my young son. The slow lane was wide open and the truck in front in the fast lane was driving just under the speed limit. So I change lanes and pass on the right, giving my usual courtesy thumbs up as I pass the truck. A couple miles up the road, I get into the left turn lane and am stopping for the red light. Well, that truck wasn't turning and they had a green light, so they were going 60-65 mph as they drove past me. They threw a live shotgun shell at my truck as they passed, hitting the flat back window of my pickup, right behind my son's head. It was so loud my ears were ringing and my son started crying. Luckily the window didn't break, and we're both fine now. But damn was I fuming when I saw the shell and realized that's what he threw at me. I reported them to the police, who said they will check the cameras at the intersection. So fingers crossed there's consequences for them. Too long did not read. Gave a slow driver thumbs up as I passed them in the slow lane. They threw a live shotgun shell at my truck as they passed me while I was stopped to turn left. Edit. Seems some took the truck to mean semi-truck, it was just a heavy-duty pickup truck. Edit 2. The shotgun shell did not go off. It hit glass at 60–65 mlf and was shockingly loud. It hit sideways, so plastic and the metal ring on the primer side hit the glass. Oh, my wife did shit like this for years and it drove me fucking crazy. Why are you flipping some dude off when I gotta cash the check you wrote? On top of that, people in Vegas are psychos who will probably just shoot you. I mean, I have a gun too, but shooting someone isn't exactly on my to-do list because I wanted to go to Target. I can get angry driving as well, particularly with the frequent bad driving I see with a complete disregard for the safety of others. My steam let off as to clap my little finger and thumb together, imagining a little puppet sarcastically applauding their stupidity. It's amazing how little things can release the built-up anger. People are absolutely insane on the road and I feel like it's been getting worse over the years. Thumbs down is the way. Only a special kind of asshole goes under the speed limit in the fast lane. In all seriousness though, I'm sorry that happened to you. No matter what happens, no one deserves to be maimed or killed over road rage.